Chapter 2. The Contract. Arkistan was puffing, giving it all he got, but opened his eyes to commotion and footsteps. The smell from his pipe was a good one, but he hated flowery smells on principle. He looked up at a temple and he could only think of brilliance. He read the title, Hall of Service. He muttered it out loud.
Come. Since this is your first time doing SAR duty, I need to give you the ins and outs. First, the basic knowledge. You will,
He felt a pang in his heart.
play the part of a tutorial king, uplifting the new beings and teaching them their possible roles in life. Of course, your role would be to pick the new leaders and send them on quests. You'll be able to challenge them for greater rewards with greater risks. All challenges must be accompanied by a warning, mind you, suited for the appropriate challenge. Rewards can be personally given or divinely requested. Would you like to opt for divine assistance? A simple yes or no would suffice.
I don't want to do this. I do not want to participate in this duty, said Arkistan with his head down and unmoving. Lentil looked at Arkistan, and he read over his report. There was a lot of work to get him here, but in the scheme of things, it really was no work. Of course, people thought the strange appearances of gates and rifts opening were due to the divine faction. It was not. Rebellion fell within its own sector, and it was tied to the one that caused such methods to be used in the first place. But they managed to keep it minimal and within scope. They pointed all straight to the realm that they were getting ready to send Arkistan. Rifts tended to follow the one who made them. It was law. A bad start for the newbies, but it might make them more of what would help the world. He thought what most people would like. Maybe he would just get to the reward section, further the incentive for Arkistan.
You are allowed a divine reward that is usually picked by administration, but due to the difficulty, we can waive those rights.
Arkistan's head slowly raised. He stared at the messenger. You mean to tell me that being a tutorial leader for these migrants could cost me my life, my soul, the accumulation of all my personal experiences?
Well, technically, your soul is not yours. It was given, not gained. And second, you were trying to die anyway. It would have been the end since you were affected by divine circumstances. Which, under those certain terms, means that trick would have not worked.
You said you were not certain, said Arkistan, staring at him looking smug. I make a living on the .01. How do you think I got this divine pipe? He said with a cackle that had other divine beings looking at him with distaste.
I know exactly how you got it, but we need to get this show on the road, shall we? So, if you succeed, what divine instrument would you like? And an offensive one is not available.
Resurrection. A revive. I want to bring someone back, said Arkistan with a smug look that was borderline ridiculous. The hollow service went quiet. Couriers, messengers, and most of the divine management team just stopped. Lentil just stared at him. Arkistan made a show of his hands spread out, turning around so everyone can get a view. Then he spoke. Don't act like you didn't know that's what I wanted. I knew my book should be here, and my whole life in it. This is just the play button on a pre-recorded script.
Technically, messengers and everyone below God has no idea who will actually make it beyond the gates of glory. Sad thing is, angels do fall sometimes, and humans have freedom of choice. The options that unfold are boundless, but the end is final between two choices. Of course, reading your life up until now, there is a possibility, but resurrection is a high probability for everyone. It's just that very few people make it their life mission.
Well, that's what I want. And no lizard species within the domain of teaching. Lentil looked towards his book, waiting for confirmation. Words appeared.
Restricted item. Resurrection. Denied. Resurrection. Home plane. Denied. Possible rewards. Compatible for duty given. Sole item. Not sufficient. Soul weapon. Not applicable. Soul transference. Calculating.
Arkistan just stood there, knowing this was a long shot. Divine rewards were part what you wanted and part not. Like resurrecting a fallen loved one only for it to be a soul-bound communication, allowing you to talk but not see. Of course, he could have went necromancy, but doing that to a soul was torture. Plus, it was only part loved one. Mostly physical and past knowledge with the soul gone and something different. That special element that allowed one to grow with you, missing. But for some, it was worth. Even if the rifts were open, if you were smart about it, you would use it for closure and let it go. That was the only thing wrong. You would think with enough power you were capable of bringing back someone, but that's 100% divine. If there was a 0.01% chance, he probably would not be here. Surprised he was here anyway, clearly they had to know what he was shooting for.
Soul transference and time agreeable contract. Downgrade reward to legendary if successful. Contract restricted and readable. Fulfill acknowledgement and receive signature. It would seem some form of acceptance has been approved. I just need you to read it in a privacy room. Sign and accept.
Arkistan took the form, and a door down the hall opened, and he knew it was for him. He started walking while continuing to puff on his pipe. It's been a long road, he thought, about how he lost so much. A tear started to make itself known. He could only hope that it would be something manageable, something he could live with. He made it into the room and the door shut behind him. He unrolled the contract and the contract jumped towards his spellbook, filling the pages. He felt the checks and balances in his soul. Then the writing started to appear.
Dear Arkistan, resurrection requests are usually denied if the souls moved on and dependent if the test obligations were fulfilled. They are in a better life in which your best form of meeting them is to get your affairs in order. That is not the case concerning Fix Fly, and he fits the special case requirement. He has been approved for a second chance due to your due diligence and your insistent knocking without doing any nefarious rituals or outside means. Your request could only be transferred, which knowingly happens to coincide with your SAR duty, since your duty is in an outside realm in which you are obligated. 1 hour obligation in lecture weekly. 15-minute meetings with attendees weekly. 30-minute mentorship. Mentee qualifications must be met. Assisted goals and specific reward management to mentees. 300 people assigned. Reward 1 legendary hat. Transference 1 Vix Fly. This is your choice and partly his. He will know who you are, but he will not know the contract. Personal discussion is limited to 15 minutes. It strips away at his weekly meetings. When time of duty is up, the realm he is in is different than yours. So, after the duty, well, time is up. There is no 0.01% chance of you meeting him again. No elaborations. Warning. Trying too hard to skim percentages will leave you blind to the circumstance around, and due to your worth ethic, you should focus on your role and achieving high marks. Your mentality fits the requirement above average, but accomplishments still leave more to be desired. As long as this meets
expectation, sign and fulfill your requirements. It was always partial, he thought, and he knew. 100% of himself knew that there was no other way. A holy closure to get him to shut up. Basically, at the end of this road, he had to be okay with him moving on. He couldn't wait to talk to him and figure out how did he manage to lose his life with all the training, study, and preparation he had given him. His son had no class, but the house had enough traps, warning systems, and safe rooms to be impenetrable. Even knowing about all that he had prepared, he would have been hard-pressed to break through it himself. Thinking on it, it would seem that this was not a bad agreement. And just like any other parent, if given this opportunity, we have to be happy with this second chance of teaching him how to survive again. End of chapter 2. Ha ha ha.